Mem, Yud, Lamed, Vav, Yud, Yud. Yud comes from the word Lamale means to fill up, which means if someone would ask you what's the gematria of Hashem's name Yud Kei Vav Kei, you would answer 26. Yud is 10, Hey is 5, the Vav is 6, and the final Hey is another 5. Together it's 26. That's true. But then if you go into the Miluyim, which means how each letter is spelled, it's a bigger number. And in the whole system of gematrias, everything goes by that. That is the gematria of a certain word. The gematria of Shabbos is 702. Shin is 300. Beis is 2. Tov is 400. But if you go a step further, you say there's also another gematria. Shabbos, Shin is spelled Shin Yud Nun. Beis is spelled Beis Yud Sof. Sof is spelled Tav Pei. And that gematria is so much bigger and it means something else. So in one word, there's multiple kinds of gematrias, and each one of the places where you see this is the most fascinating, unbelievable way. The only thing we could think of is a supercomputer could do these kind of things is in the Rebbe's father's books called the Likutei Levi Yitzchak. He wrote a lot of things based on these kind of gematrias. Like you can get dizzy looking how he takes one word and he connects it through gematria in an unbelievable, fascinating way. So, but we're not going to go into all those details, just to be familiar with these four. So Shem Ma is 45. What's Ban? Ban is if you spell everything with a Hey. So the Hey is spelled Hey Hey. The second Hey is spelled also Hey Hey. The Vav, we don't put a Hey in the middle. So altogether we have 52. That's called Shem Ban. It's another name of Hashem. Yep.
What gematria Giva?
What's the gematria of what?
Giva. Like what we learn from.
What it gives us? Generally speaking, gematria shows a connection between two things. Let's say it says Amalek is begematria Suffolk. Suffolk means doubt. So Chassidus explains that this klipa, which is called Amalek, what it does to a person, it makes him have doubts in Amunah, and not to be certain. So the gematria leads us to see a connection between two things. But here it's not just a number, it's actually a name of Hashem. We're just showing how that name of Hashem comes out of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, the next one is spelling everything with a Yud. Not everything. Spelling, next one is a mixture of Yud and Aleph. So the Hey is spelled Hey Yud, the second Hey is spelled Hey Yud, and the Vav is spelled with an Aleph. So there's a combination of two things here. The last one, everything is a Yud. Yud Vav Daled, Hey Yud, Vav Yud Vav, Hey Yud, and that gematria altogether is 72. Some of you might have learned a sikh with Mrs. Nemni, the famous sikh of Chaysara, Tavshin on Beis. Could be she's teaching it right now. Yeah. Okay, so that sikha is based mainly on Ma and Ban, these two things. In general, Ma, here goes another gematria. The gematria of Ma is Adam. How do you spell Adam? Aleph is Dalet is Mem. That's 45. Same as Ma. How do you spell Behema? Beis is, let me do it on the blackboard, on the whiteboard, whatever you want to call it. In the olden days, it used to be a blackboard. But Hashem, we came to have, this is Adam. Aleph, Dalet, and this is Mem. So this is 1, 4, and 40 equals 45. This is Behema. Beis, Hey, Mem, Hey. This is 2, 5, 40, This is 5 equals 10, 52. So it doesn't mean, there's the names of Hashem, but obviously it means one name of Hashem is the source of Adam, the other name of Hashem is the source of Behemah. In another place, it'll say one name of Hashem is the source of the godly soul, which is Adam, and the other name is the source of the animal soul, which is Behemah. In one place, it'll say that the Shem Ma is the source of the Neshama, and Shem Ban is the source of the Guf. Then in higher levels, one is connected to the auras, to the lights, one is connected to the vessels, but these are different names, and each one is a source for something different, and these are the numbers. So maybe one little thing that I'd like to add, it's not from Chassidus or Maimer, just once heard it, I thought it was a really fascinating idea, was someone asked a question, why are all the names one way, and one name is different than the others? Ma, the bigger number is first, and the smaller number is second, correct? Sag, the bigger number is first, Samach is 60, and Gimel is 3. Ab, the bigger number is 70, and the smaller number is Ban. Ban is the reverse. The bigger number is in the second one, and the smaller number is first. Why can't it be Nab? I know you say Nab sounds strange, but Ban is also strange, so. So he gave a very interesting, this is not a sefer, in other words, not just somebody's thoughts. So he says something very interesting, and that is, if you remember, we speak about this usually in the Pirkei Avos class, that there's something fascinating about the number 9. If you don't remember, great, I have something to teach today. He said that the number 9 is the only number that no matter how many times you multiply it, it's always going to be 9. And what's the connection to that? The connection, what?
Emes.
Emes. That the word emes is the gematria 9. It's another system of gematria. Emes is Aleph, Mem, Saf. This is 1. This is 40. And this is 400. And that equals, and I'm doing it on the wrong side, but that equals 441. And that equals 9. It's called Mispar Karpin. You go down to the smallest number. So you add up 4, and 4 and 1 is 9. If you look at all the names of Hashem, they all equal 9, because it's Emes. 4 and 5 is 9. 6 and 3 is 9. 7 and 2 is 9. But one of them is not 9. Done. So therefore, they wrote it in reverse. Why in reverse? Because what's the gematria of the bigger numbers of the alphabet? The long nun, the final pei, the final mem, they also have a gematria. So the last letter in the alphabet is tough, that's 400. The final chaf, that's the first of the final letters, that's 500. The final mem is 600. The final nun is 700. How much is 702? 9. That's why they wrote this in reverse.
Ban is from the Zohar.
What?
The name Ban is from the Zohar.
Yeah, Zohar. Where is it in the Zohar? Nobody knows? You don't know where it is in the Zohar? I'll show you. Turn the page on the other side. What you're looking at is part of the Zohar. Okay. This is Zohar, but from the Arizal, it started to say this every Friday afternoon before Mincha. The men say this. It's a part of the Zohar. In the Zohar, if you look in the middle, and the part that I underlined, it says, and also if you look at the Hebrew, you see small little letters. He writes Shem Ma, the name Ma, and then in small letters he writes how it adds up to Ma. Yud K, Vav K with the Aleph. See? So all the names, Ma, Ban, Sag, Ab, this is all in Zohar. It's found in the writings of the Arizal. And some of them are also talked about a lot in Chassidus. Okay. We're ready to start the Chazara. So we're going to start with the terms first. 19. We'll do it together. Each page is another one of the chapters. So we'll start with Ois Tezvov, the first chapter. Me'umka deliba. It's a term which is found often in Chassidus. It's Aramaic, but it's pretty close to the Hebrew. Ma? Umka means from the depth, or the liba of the heart, from the depth of the heart. Number 2, chitzonim. What does that mean?
Outside.
What does it mean outside? So chitzonim is another name for klipa. And they're called chitzonim because they're outside of the realm of Kedusha. And also because they get their nourishment from Hashem, but from the chitzonius of Hashem, from the external part of Hashem. And Kedusha gets from the pneumius, from the inner dimension of Hashem. So klippas are called chitzonim. If you ever come across a mimer, a sicha, and it says something about chitzonim, it means klippas.
They take the source from the back of Hashem, that's how it's...
Right, the back means the outside, chitzonius. Number 3 and number 4 go together. What is dakusara, and how would you translate gasusara? Remember? Better.
Dako's horizon, the enemy is like further from you, and then Gauss's horizon is like obvious, closer to you.
Right. But the word ra, so I guess we could say, I know that's why I explained the mimer, but I guess the straight translation for this would be dakusara means more subtle negativity, something which is negative, but it's not so obvious, it's not so pronounced, and not so coarse. Gasusara means coarse negativity, really black and white, pronounced negativity. Like we gave the example, there's hundreds of examples. Remember we gave the example, to God forbid kill somebody, that's gasusara. To embarrass somebody in public compared to that is more subtle. And then even that, it could be levels. So when something's more obvious, it's called gasus. Gasus means coarse. Dakus means more refined, more subtle. Number 5, a very common term in Chassidus, midechi el dechi. Right, but I guess dechi probably doesn't mean bad. I'm not sure exactly what the shoresh of that word is, but it usually means midechi el dechi means from one descent, from going down to one level to going down a lower level. Midechi el dechi, from lower to lower.
Did you learn all of this?
Yeah. I made a mistake. I said that I'm underlining the word, so when we learn it, I'll be able to point it out, and you'll go to write it down right away, so it's more fresh in your mind. Believe that the next mimer we learn, we'll do that. If I don't, you'll all remind me, and you'll see that it'll help you remember the terms better. Number 6, kal shebekalim. It's not from the word kala.
The easy of the easier.
The easy of the easiest, but that is not what it means in this context. It could mean that, because in Hebrew, kal means easy. Kal also means light. And in Chassidus, usually when you say this person is a kal, it means he's light-hearted towards mitzvahs, doesn't take it seriously. Kal shebekala means like light shebelight, like extremely light-hearted, not taking mitzvahs or Yireh Shamayim very seriously. Okay, so I missed davening. I missed mincha. Did anyone see that story circulating yesterday? Somebody wrote a story with name. It happened to his brother-in-law that he was. There were 2 stories yesterday. This one is actually someone with a name, and he says they were in the army, and is a religious guy with a group of soldiers that weren't religious. So they were sitting and eating, and he got up to daven mincha. So daven mincha, he had to face the other direction. They were safe there because they already got rid of all the terrorists. He turned around to daven mincha, and as he's facing the other way, he sees a weapon coming out of the ground. Obviously, there was a tunnel there that they missed. It was coming out of the ground. So he quickly screamed, alerted all his friends. They turned around and they eliminated him. So they were all saved in the schus of daven mincha because they were all facing the other direction. So they decided tomorrow they're all going to daven mincha. That was one story. The other story is a story with cholent. Thank you for the stories. That is this guy in Israel, an amazing guy. He collects money, gets food, sends food down to the front, which besides whatever's happening by the government, he sends extra food that they should have. So I don't know if this must have been maybe a frum group of soldiers. They wanted cholent. So he sent them cholent. And there was a building that apparently they already cleaned out the building. They wanted to go there maybe to do something. And as they were walking, when the commander said, let's first have the cholent and then we'll go. So they went back to have some cholent. As soon as they got back to the cholent, the building exploded and the whole building fell apart. And apparently what must have happened was that there were no terrorists there, but they put explosives in the building. And they probably thought that they already went in the building and they detonated the explosives. So they were saved by the cholent. So, in Gemara it says, tzedakah tatzal mimavis. Tzedakah saves from death. So they said, cholent tatzal mimavis. The cholent saved them. These are the kind of miracles that people are seeing there on a daily basis. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, there are tragedies there every day, but there are also miracles at the same time. Number 7, Kurirus. The reason why we mentioned the thing Kal Shabakalim was to bring out the point, if you remember, how things start off on a very small, subtle scale. Someone does something wrong, but you can hardly notice it. It doesn't even think that it's anything wrong. But this festers and it grows, and one thing leads to another, and then eventually the person, can go very far. Number 7 is also related to that. What does it mean? Kurirus? Coldness. So what is it? What has it to do with the mimer?
So if you all the time say, oh no, it's okay, only one time, or you don't, so you start to be cold for the average that you do, and then you start to be cold to Avodat Hashem.
So what you said is probably more related to number 6, Kal Shabakalim. Right? Okay, I didn't have Kal, I'm light. Coldness is more about, I would say, more about the positive, doing a mitzvah. I do a mitzvah, but I do it cold. There's no fire, there's no enthusiasm, no inspiration. There's no, when it comes to, I go to work, then the person's alive and he's making phone calls and he's running around. When it comes to mitzvahs, okay, let's get it over with.
So, it's
from down to down, from one descent, one yerida to another yerida. Somehow dech is connected to yerida. Maybe it's from the word dechia. Maybe from the word dechia, push down. I'm not sure. Yeah, so what? Probably. Okay, let's go to page 20. This is Ois Tazayin. Here we have 6 different terms. Number 1, Hamoyach Shalet Alalev. Right, the mind rules the heart. That's the way it's supposed to be. Number 2, Anfin Mispardin. Aramaic again.
Separate branches.
Right, separate branches. The spheres in the world of Tohu are separate one from the other. Number 3, Ribui Ur. So this is also alluding to the world of Tohu, that is, in every world there's light, and there's a vessel that contains the light. Riba means that there's a lot of light, meaning overwhelming light, more than what the vessel could contain. Like Begashmis, if a person would experience something that's so overwhelming that, God forbid, they faint, it means it was Riba too much. There's also, it could be with positive things, with simcha. Like it says in Gemara, the Rabbi Kiva, when he would expound on the secrets, the hidden secrets of Shir HaShirim, he would be crying the whole time. Why crying? He wasn't crying because it's sad. He was so overwhelmed with the depth of Shir HaShirim that it sort of couldn't be contained, and it came out. Just like when a person cries, you can cry from joy and you can cry from the opposite. But why are you crying from joy? It means the excitement and the happiness is so much that it can't be contained. So it's sort of, this is like the excess of the emotion that comes out in tears. So Riba means a lot of light. And light could mean in the soul, it can be in the sphere, wherever. Number four would be the opposite of number two. What does number four mean? Hiskalalus.
Together.
They're together, they include each other. In the world of Tikkun, the spheres are kolel. Each sphere includes and contains in it the other sphere. In Tohu, it's separate branches. In Tikkun, it's included. Number five is the opposite of number three, miyatar, which means it's a smaller degree of light, and therefore it could be contained in the vessel. And number six should be easy. I hope you didn't forget since 10 minutes ago. What? Yeah, that's the name of Hashem. The name of Hashem that's spelled with Aleph. That's what it is. Hey Aleph, Vav with Aleph, and the Hey with an Aleph.
That's the name that we use in dog name?
Yudke Vavke. Yeah. Sometimes you find about the word Chochma. You look at the word Chochma, it's like two words, Koach, Ma. You have the Shem Ma again. Okay, number one in chapter 17, Ois Yuzayin. What does this mean? This is actually not a Hasidic term, it's Gemara, but somehow it snuck into these terms. Okay. Lo'ilam yargiz adam yetzer tov al yetzer hara. What does that mean? A person should always get his yetzer tov angry at his yetzer hara. That's what we were learning about the Aveda of the club. There's a time when the yetzer tov has to like scream or be strong and aggressive towards the yetzer hara. Not just explain things and have a conversation. Sometimes it needs a beating. Number two, chakika mibachutz. So remember we said, you use the mushal that if you have a log, a piece of wood, and you want to make a soup bowl from this piece of wood, how do you do that? First, you do something, you cut it out from the log. Now you have a piece of wood in your hand. So first you cut it out. Then you cut it in to make it a bowl that you can put soup inside. So same with the Nefesh HaBahamis. You want to put seichel into the Nefesh HaBahamis. Logic, explaining why you should love Hashem. But the Nefesh HaBahamis is so obsessed with his passions, he doesn't even hear what you're saying. He's too emotional. So first you have to scream at him, to use the term, like shake him up and do something strong that make the Nefesh HaBahamis at least pay attention. And then, so that's called chakikim b'chutz, something which is maybe external, but still it shakes up my yetzer hara to listen. And that chakikim b'chutz can also be a positive thing, like the stories we're telling you now, that someone has a miracle that happened. They weren't thinking about Hashem, but suddenly the miracle happens, and it's not that they had a philosophical, discussion, or they studied something, but something happened in front of their eyes that was miraculous, that sort of shook up their nefesh bahamis to realize, wait a second, there is something there. And then you can start with the learning. Number 3, Ramach Tivin de Krishma. Anyone remember what that is?
All of the mitzvot are same.
Right, but what does Tivin de Krishma mean?
When you say Shema, you make all of the mitzvot the same. Something like that.
But there's a specific translation here. You're close, very close. In the Shema, there are 248 letters. Tivin is like the Hebrew word teva, words. Teva is words. There are 248 words in the Shema. And the 248 words correspond to 248 mitzvahs. But 248 is also the same gematria of the word ramach, remach, which means a spear. That's when he explained that the Shema spiritually is like a spear.
Spear? What is spear?
Spear is a long stick with what they use in a war, a long stick. At the end is a sharp point to throw. By the way, that's why in the Shema, you're supposed to hear the last 3 words from the Chazan or repeat it yourself. Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Because without these 3 words repeated, it's not going to be 248. When you add these 3 words, it's exactly 248. Number 4, this part of davening before the Shema is called Psukei de Zimra. Psukei de Zimra means psukim of song. But then he said there's another meaning to Zimra, the Zamer Aritzim. I think there's a mistake here. Between the Tzaddik and the Mem, there should be a Yud, Aritzim. So what does that mean? Lizamer in this context means to cut. Aritzim means weeds. That the purpose of the part of davening before the Shema is to cut the weeds. What weeds are in Spanish? Yeah.
What is weed?
What?
What is weed?
Weeds is aritzim.
Okay.
Maybe it's Aramaic. Weeds is in a garden or a field, a certain grass that grows that's no good. And it makes everything no good. You have to pull it out. You have to tear it out so everything should grow good. Those things are called weeds or ritzim. What's the difference between number 5 and number 6? 5 is Teves heter. Number 6 is Teves isur.
Number 5 is from the note, other things from the noga that you can do, but it's not good. Like you need to do it for Elokut and not for Elokut.
Right.
And 6, it's like no.
Right. So Taiva means passion, desire, but some desires for things that are permissible. And number 6 is Taivas Isa, things that are not permissible. Okay, we're up to Chai, Ois Chai. Oh, one more. On top of page 21, there's 2 more. Ra de Noiga. What does that mean? So you just said, Klipas Noiga has in it a mixture of good and bad. So when there's something that a person's attracted to something because of a purely materialistic reason, that means they're connecting to the negative in Klipas Noiga, not the positive. Number 8, Shas Tzloisa, Shas Kroga. What is that? The time of davening is a time of war. Whom am I fighting with? It's a her. Bahamas.
What?
Salota is Aramaic for tefillah. And Shas means the time. And Kroga is like in Hebrew, krav. Krav also means war. Number one in Ois Ches. While we're doing this, you know about it. Number one in Ois Ches is we're doing a review. Erev Shel Shalom. What is Erev Shel Shalom? What kind of sword is that? First of all, what does it mean literally, and then what does it mean spiritually?
A sword of peace.
So a sword and peace sound like two opposite words. Anyone remember what it says in Chumash? You won't even see a sword of peace. What's the bracha? So what's the ma'avdel between swords, a sword shel milchama or a sword of peace? The difference is a sword of milchama means if chas v'shalom you go into Israel has a war with an enemy. That's a sword of milchama. Sword of peace means Hashem promised us not only we won't see a sword of war, not even a sword of peace, meaning let's say another country is having a war with another country, but they're walking through our country. So we see swords on the street, but it's not us, it's a different country. But still, just even to see a sword already takes away from the sense of peace, from the sense of tranquility. So Hashem promised that we won't even have a sword of... So there's two kinds of swords. One is, it's still a time of peace, and the other is milchama. Spiritually, what is the difference?
This is the thing of Kripat Noga, I think?
No, something else. Something about the davening.
The certain part of the davening will not be so hard for us, like the walking time.
No, I'll remind you. The davening itself is a sword of peace. When I deal with all the challenges after the davening, that's a sword of war. That's the real war.
But also in davening, we have war.
Right, but in davening, I don't have all the nisyonot in front of my eyes. When a person goes to work and they're dealing with people, they're dealing with money, they're dealing with issues of kashrus, they're dealing with issues of tznius, these are the nisyonot, these are the challenges, and here's my war. Person sitting down to eat, to make sure he eats kosher, makes the bracha, eats it in a refined way. But during davening, I'm in a shul, or I'm in my house, I'm with a siddur, I'm in a spiritual place. I'm preparing that after davening, I should be strong. So therefore, davening is only a preparation for war. And the war itself is after the davening is over. And that's why it says in the Zohar, number 2, Nama apum charba lechol. We eat the bread by the sword. What does that mean? What does the sword have to do with eating bread? So you can see, by the way, these Aramaic words are also similar to the Hebrew. Lechol is like the Hebrew word achila. Charba is like the Hebrew word cherev, sword. Nama is a totally different word. Nama means bread. And apum also means by the sword. Bread is eaten by the sword. It means that when a person is down to eat, there's a milchama. Will the food bring me down, or will I elevate the food? Who will defeat whom? I want to elevate the sparks of toyu in the food, and not that the negative in the food will bring me down to a lower level. Number 3 is Eres the toyu b'kelim the tikkun. This means that our goal is to draw down the light from the world of tohu, which was very powerful, very intense, and that's why there was shvirat hakelim. But we, through Torah and through mitzvahs, all these generations, we bring that light back down, but in a vessel that can contain it. Number 4, what does pagam mean? Pagam?
Something damage.
Right. So in the Maimer, it usually talks about the pagam in the neshama, or pagam in the spiritual realm, that happens when a person does an avera. And he explained how when a person eats food, it's like the mizbeach, the light of Eilam HaToyu was able to fill whatever is missing, was able to correct whatever damage was done. Number 5 Ra the Gimel Klipas Atmeis. Before we spoke about Ra of Klipas Nega, on top of the page, the first thing on the line. But now this word means Ra of Gimel Klipas Atmeis. That's something which cannot be elevated. Number 6, also a word which is found very often in Sichos Maimorim, Heskem. Heskem is like the word Hachlota. It means a resolve, make a conclusion, make a decision to do things a certain way, the proper way. And the last part of the Maimah is the 2 ways to elevate Nitzutzas. One is Birurim B'derech Mochama, in a way of war, and one is Birurim B'derech Menucha, like difference between Shabbos, the 6 days of the week, or elevating things through Torah study, or elevating things through Tefillah, or elevating things through observance of mitzvahs. So with this, we finished the first part, which is the terms, and tomorrow we'll do the questions. Okay, to be continued. What? If he was a geir, not he, but either his father or somebody before. He comes from geir.
No, it's not.
He himself was not a geir, but he was either a son or a grandson of a geir.
You said tomorrow you're starting?
Yeah.
You're going? Okay. Did you Friday?
You might start Friday, but I'm saying it doesn't mean you have to rush. I can take one sheet and just do one sheet.
You can find us like on the King's Stand.
That's why, no, don't worry. There's a review about spam today. And tomorrow I think we're starting like the whole.
I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry.
No, I'm not rich. No worries. I don't think it's expensive. Sorry. No, you're fine.